Hi everyone, David Ward. It is Sunday, January 26, 2022 at 6:24 a.m. And by the way, it's January 23rd, not 26th. Writing's very small on this 4K TV. Plus, I'm not wearing my glasses. Everything else is big enough though for me to read it. All right, what I wanted to point out with this publication is what we are looking for present day. Just like present day where we started distribution came down with a sign of weakness in phase D as in delta, uh, even coming down with another sign of weakness, phase E is in echo. Uh, the question is, are we done coming down yet with that sign of weakness? Could this just be a last point of supply while continuing down with this sign of weakness? But let's not assume we're done just yet. Also, could be that we are done for now and come up with an automatic rally back, then go back down again for a second test of support, then back up again with a simple rally potentially. But that's the reason why I'm wanting to cover this here. For instance, phase D. We have an upthrust in phase D, then an upthrust last point of supply in phase D. Here's phase D. We have an upthrust in phase D, upthrust last point of supply in phase D. You're not guaranteed to always have an upthrust last point of supply in phase D. It can't just be an upthrust and then a couple of LPSs and then continue down even more again. In that case, I would, uh, I'm not going to go there. Um, Here's our upthrust in phase D, then upthrust last point of supply in phase D. I broke it down a little bit here on more distribution before falling down again with what ended up being a sign of weakness in phase E. All right, now let me point out something here. When we came down here, we're wondering, hey, is this a selling climax? If so, we should come back up to or near preliminary support where we went sideways here for a while. Is that a selling climax followed by an automatic rally? Second test of support. I would expect a simple rally now in phase B, but we did not get that. We came down lower. So we knew that this wasn't necessarily a test before going up with a simple rally. This could be a last point of supply event before continuing down further. Our indicators would have helped us determine whether we're coming down further or going back up with a simple rally. All right, we ended up coming down further. All right, when it comes down, we're looking to see if we come back up to or near what could be preliminary support, because we went sideways here for a while and we're wondering, is this number one, our sign of weakness that could be acting as a selling climax for what could be accumulation. So we came down, came back up again with what could be an automatic rally, then came back down again with what should be a second test of support that can go lower than the selling climax, but then we should go back up again with a simple rally. We did not get that. Our indicators would have told us if we're still going down further here, but we ended up coming down again further. We also bared in mind as we were going sideways right here as we were going sideways here, if we do end up falling again, where we went sideways could be acting as our preliminary support, and this sign of weakness that we see going down could be also acting as a selling climax for accumulation. After the selling climax, we should see an automatic rally come back up to or near within our preliminary support range, and then we should come back down again with a second test of support, which we did. Then we came back up again with what would be considered a simple rally in phase B, and we'd normally expect to come back down for a test of support. And yes, we would prefer a higher low rather than a lower low. So that fooled a lot of people into making them think that, we're going back bullish again, that was it. But that ended up not being the case. This ended up being a sign of weakness in phase E, going up again with an up thrust in phase E, down, then an up thrust last point of supply in phase E, before seeing multiple last point of supply events, before then falling down with a second sign of weakness in phase E. We had two signs of weaknesses in phase E. This particular one did end up acting as a selling climax for long-term accumulation. We also, anytime when we're going down with multiple last point of supply events, look at a point where we could be going sideways for a little while. That could be preliminary support for what may be accumulation to follow after a sign of weakness that would be also acting as a selling climax. All right, this could be our preliminary support where we went sideways here for a while. And our indicators that I'm not getting into are telling us that we have very high odds of coming down again. And we came down again, and we know that we should come back up to or near the preliminary support range with an automatic rally after a selling climax. All right, then after that automatic rally, we should come back down to test support again before going to conclude phase A and then transition into phase B, where we should now see a simple rally in phase B within our accumulation range. In here, before we went up with a sign of strength, back up last point of support. All of this was acting as backup last point of support before a sign of strength in phase E as an echo. Another sign of strength in phase E is an echo of accumulation. Then another pullback, another sign of strength in phase E, another pullback, a huge sign of strength in phase E, we'll pull back, another sign of strength, another sign of strength. You can have multiple signs of strength in phase E of accumulation, just as you can have multiple signs of weakness in phase E of distribution. We had two signs of weaknesses in phase E of distribution in 2014. We had one sign of weakness in phase E of distribution in 2018. All right, the reason that I'm mentioning this is we're paying attention to where we may go sideways, so that if we do go down, we want to see if we come back up to or near where we went sideways with an automatic rally before then going down again for a second test of support. See, we're not coming up here yet. We're just not coming up here yet. That's why I mentioned this previous publication. Do not assume we must have an automatic rally now. Don't assume that. That's what we're looking for to mark an end to distribution and the beginning of accumulation. Well, why would we even think of marking an end to distribution? Well, we just had a sign of weakness in phase D here and expecting a sign of weakness in phase E. But number one, we may not be done with this sign of weakness yet. It may not be done yet. That's not really, I'm looking for something. I'm not going to waste my time on that. I don't want to hold up y'all's valuable time trying to find something to show as an example. But we may not be done yet with our sign of weakness. We may not be done yet. We could come down more. I know that may sound terrifying to some, but yeah, we may come down more. We could come down to this orange diagonal trend line just below my 0.618 fib retrace. We could come down to this orange. That most certainly is possible. And the main reason that I'm saying that we have a potential for that, the aqua lower, as I've mentioned in a previous publication, posted a day or two ago, that aqua lower in the 12-day and the 13-day at 31K, 31,600, 31,300. And a thread of coming down to the orange lower here, which is basically the 100 moving average in the 11-day time frame. That is at 23,485, the 100 moving average. I know that sounds crazy to some, but hey, that is possible. We may not be done yet. Let's not assume that we're going to see an automatic rally. Let's not assume that. We still have that green has not even made it up here to the white lower. It has not done that yet. Right now, in between the white and aqua lower is resistance, according to the blue LSMA, in that 12-hour time frame. And the aqua lower is resistance currently at 37,288, 37,300, let's say. The aqua lower is currently resistance in the 24-hour. But let's see if the next 24-hour candle, let's see if we're able to come up to the aqua lower, maybe the white lower, maybe with this green line. That's what I was pointing out there. Man, I'm getting to where I have to use the bathroom. But what we're looking for present day is we were coming down sideways here for quite a while. We're saying, hey, this might be preliminary supply. And we knew that the odds were pretty high of us coming down, as I pointed out in previous publications. Not only would this be a sign of weakness, but this could be acting as a selling climax for what could potentially be accumulation. We either get an automatic rally event, which that's what we're looking for, or this is just the last point of supply event before continuing down even further. All right, so let's just be super, super careful here. But I'm going to go ahead and call this one quits. I don't want to use up your time very much. Plus, I got to use the bathroom. If you don't mind, take a moment and click like. If you're not following, feel free to do so. Certainly would appreciate your support. Want to wish everyone happy trading, and followers, you know the drill. Let's stay awesome.